What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Nightmares Podcast, where we talk about all things horror, video games, music, movies, and even some childhood memories of Halloween, because the spooky season is upon us, as the Hallmark and the Walmarts of the world want to remind us, even though it's only fucking September, and they have Halloween and Christmas decorations in there, but I'm not bitter. I'm here with the usual suspect. Dude, it pisses me off. I'm here with the usual suspects. Zach is here.
Yo, fuck everyone for putting Christmas decorations out in fucking September.
And then of course the master of all, Vinny, is here, hanging out.
What's up?
And finally a very special guest. You've heard her talked about at many different podcasts. My lovely love of my life. Yes, I am going to talk about my relations, Victor, thanks. But more importantly, also an amazingly talented artist and designer who designed the masks for episode 4 and also has a lot of shit in this room. This is, of course, Sarah Turkowski from Sarah Turk Art and Design, and then a couple other awesome stuff as well. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you for having me.
Mark, she doesn't have shit in this room. She has cool stuff. Exactly. Don't be an asshole, you son of a bitch.
Fuck you.
Thank you, Zach.
You're welcome, Sarah.
You've been a real asshole today.
Oh, I know. That's my job. That's my job.
So, Zach, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about, our favorite Halloween memories, and more specifically, Halloween costumes of us growing up as children. Because, we were all children at some point, I think.
We were.
I don't know.
I think we still are kind of children.
I don't know. I didn't get that much of a childhood. Thanks, sisters, you little shits!
But Zach and I aren't bitter about anything. Obviously our favorite costumes growing up, and then also favorite memories, because all of us have unique experiences growing up doing Halloween. So I think that we'll go around the semicircle, and we'll start with Zach, and then we'll go over to that side of the phone.
Thank you for introducing us earlier.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Well, Mark's a dick.
Brandon and Victor are hanging out in the sound booth and flipping buttons. We appreciate them. Even though I forgot.
Oh my God.
Hey guys.
Happy October, because we're filming this in October, right, Zach?
Yes. We are in fact filming that in October.
Mark already spilled the beans at the beginning that we're in September.
Yeah, we're in
That's
okay.
I was a little upset. I was upset about the Halloween and Christmas Day.
How about we get on topic, asshole?
Yes, we will. Zach, you are first.
Okay, I'm first. So, where should I begin?
At the beginning.
What's your favorite?
At the beginning.
So in the beginning, there was nothing but light and darkness. Or was it only darkness? I don't know.
I think there was only darkness.
Okay,
For
there
you,
was only
it was just darkness.
And then someone said, turn on the lights!
They're Halloween lights, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Made of pumpkins and skulls and witches and goblins and ghouls and all that fun shit.
Yes.
Alright, but anyways. So, I had a pretty... my childhood was kind of meh growing up. Kind of whatever. But, Halloween was always a fun time. Some of the costumes I did growing up, some of my earlier ones were Spider-Man. I did Spider-Man at least 2 or 3 times. Just every single year a new Spider-Man movie released, I did Spider-Man. I also did Darth Maul when Phantom Menace came out because that movie was amazing.
Sure.
So you're going to be doing Spider-Man this year too?
I haven't decided what I'm doing this year, but wait, no, fuck you, I'm not doing Tom Holland's bitch ass.
And also we're not doing Society, Brandon. You can already forget about it.
Fuck that.
We may do it one
what
year.
if a couple of us did it? I don't know.
Y'all can do it. I'm out.
One of us be the guy with the lips hanging off. Somebody can have the ass cheeks and the legs
face
coming off.
I think somebody's gonna lose out on the short stick of being ass face.
So you got to be Spider-Man, and what else?
So I did a full-blown Darth Vader. So I don't know if anybody remembers when they released that full Darth Vader mask with the voice changer helmet and everything.
I think I do.
I saw that. They came out one year and they're like, I'm gonna do fucking Darth Vader this year. So I built a full-blown. I got the shoulders, the helmet, and everything. And I was the shortest, coolest Darth Vader there ever fucking was.
Wow. You're like the quintessential. Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Yeah, kind of. But one of the more creative... I only did one kind of creative costume as a kid, so what I had was an old beat-up Cubs jacket and a glow-in-the-dark skeleton costume and a shark mask. So what I decided to do was I decided to rip up the Cubs jacket a little bit because the thing was already beat up and too short on me anyways, and I tore it apart a little bit. I added some fake blood and red shit that I could find, whatever was strung throughout the house, and I put on the glow-in-the-dark skeleton costume. It was green, and then I also added the shark mask on top of it. So I had like 3 masks on. I had a full black face mask on,
Sounds familiar.
the skeleton mask on, which was like, kind of like a protruding skeleton thing, and then the shark's mask. So it looked like there was this bloody skull coming out of a shark mouth, and then I had this ripped up, torn Cubs jacket on, and there were just bones and blood coming out of it all as well. And I think I did this when I was like 10 years old or something like that, and everybody was either scared, confused, or just what the fuck I was. Even I didn't know what the hell I was. I was just throwing shit together this year. I'm just like,
It's the thing with Zach. Zach like throws shit together. Sarah had a Halloween party, and he got what was the award that he got? The most
costume that requires the most questions?
or the most
No,
explanation.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But you did really well with the mask you made
Oh,
for
yes.
that party. I was really impressed. You do very good craftsmanship with that stuff.
Yeah, so for that party, what I decided to do was for my first 3D printed mask I ever did was a Predator mask, and I'm like, what am I going to paint this as? And I decided, all right, I'm going to make it a Jason Voorhees themed Predator mask. So I did it I painted it with a bone texture, and then I decided to add the vinyls and everything like that, and it was essentially a Jason Voorhees themed Predator mask. So I was just like, what costume can I make with this? So what I decided to do, and this is a project I want to pursue one day, I wanted to make a costume based off a Predator that hunts slashers. So I took the Freddy Krueger glove, I attached it to my side, I got a bunch of chains and wrapped myself around it, kind of like making you think that I hunted Pinhead. I even had the what's it called? The lament configuration attached to my belt. Yeah, that's the lament configuration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I attached that to my belt as well. The only thing I couldn't find was a Chucky head and a decent Michael Myers mask that wasn't stupidly affordable. I had this old beat-up leather jacket that I still love, but it's so torn up that I can't really use it. I put some blood on the mask and everything like that, and I was just like this predator hunting slasher character, and that was one of my favorite costumes I've come up with so far. And
They've done so many mashup comics and things like that. I would love to see a graphic novel comic miniseries about a predator who does that.
That's actually...
And bring them all in like that.
That's a show I want to do someday.
Think of how the hell that could work, because if you can make Predator meet Archie, if you can make things like that fucking happen or anything, this could happen.
Exactly.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, Predator versus Jason, Michael. I'm sure Michael wouldn't stand a chance because fuck Michael.
Oh, he's screwed. Yeah, he's a human.
But a Predator going against Freddy,
but he's pretty human.
A Predator going against Freddy, or a Predator going against what's it called, Pinhead, or just a Cenobite. I'm just like, I'd love to see some weird shit like that. So that's where that idea came up.
Balls to the
really cool.
wall, sir.
Absolutely,
Balls to the
dude.
wall. So yeah, that was all cool. But what were some of your favorite childhood memories growing up from Halloween? Like, did you do the trick or treat shit?
Oh, dude, I used to love. So I used to live. You know where Lakeview is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live right across the street from Lakeview, and that whole neighborhood was just great for just picking up and going trick or treating and stuff. Just going up and down all the blocks, like between there and I don't know if you know the school St. Andrews.
Yeah.
That's the school where I went to. It's also the school where I was baptized. I don't know how the fuck that happened without me going into flames, but that's besides the point. So yeah, that whole area, me and my an old buddy of mine, Kevin, would just go up and down that entire fucking neighborhood getting loads of candy. And I used to have one of the coolest fucking bags too. It was this skull hand, and it would just do all the talking for you when it had the bagging it and shit like that.
Hell yeah.
I used to love that goddamn, because I didn't have to say a word. I'd be like, here, done.
You can make your deposit now, madam. Thank you for
You
your...
were the kid who had to be like, now what do you say? Trick or treat.
No, I was a kid who was just like, literally, talk to the hand. Click.
Oh my
So rude.
I know, right? Oh,
You could have at least had a thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it did. It literally, trick or treat, thank you, happy Halloween, done. And then you just leave.
Done.
But at least you said...
That's about right.
Yeah, at least you said thank you.
Some other memories though I had, going to Halloween parties as a kid, getting just the little dirt and worms thing that I fucking love to do. It's the best Halloween candy thing ever. The dirt and worms. It's great. And thank you for making that. Yes.
I made it last year, yeah.
And it was amazing. I took that whole box home and I'm just like, I'm having fun with this.
You're so excited.
Dude, I ain't had that in like over 10 fucking years. Are you kidding me?
Sarah's making what?
I was just like, fuck yeah!
He was very excited.
I'll make it again this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what else?
That's kind of it for me. It's like, just going out trick-or-treating, just dressing up. Dressing up is like half the fun. And nowadays, just creating my own costume. Like, I did a damn good Jason Voorhees costume last year that scared the shit out of a lot of kids, which I was so happy about.
Oh my god. Okay. All right, I gotta tell this story. So Zach...
Speaking of layers of masks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how did you breathe?
He didn't. He literally, dude, like, I literally felt like he was reenacting the fucking scene from Spaceballs with Rick Moranis. When he's walking up, he's like, oh, it's hard to breathe in there. So he literally, so he would sit, like a little bit further away. Like Michael Myers, you know how Michael Myers is always kind of in the distance, and he's kind of just waving and shit, or he's just there? Dude, he would just hang out, and, like, all these kids would be walking up. And the best part was, because kids are fucking loud, you can literally hear their conversations as they're walking up. You see that guy? What's going on with him? Is he a statue or anything? Like, oh shit, he's waving. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna cross the street? No, fuck that, I don't want to cross the street. I want to go walk by, I want to take pictures. It was hilarious to see the fucking kids, like the brave ones and the not so brave ones, having a conversation. And then I love it too. Like, didn't you have like a little kid run up to you?
I was gonna say that was the best part. There was like the little tiniest kids in the world were just the brave ones. They're just like, oh my god, yes. And then the bigger kids are just like, fuck that shit. I ain't going near him. Fuck that.
Like literally, it's like those.
Zach, if I may say so myself, that Jason costume was so good that if we ever go to a horror convention that has a costume contest, you should redo that costume.
I agree.
That's how good it was.
Did you get that mask somewhere specific?
So the actual hockey mask itself, I lucked out. There was this independent mask maker on eBay. He had 2 masks for part 7 and 2 masks for part 5, and I was just lucky enough to grab one for part 7. He only charged me like $20 for it, so I was like, absolutely. The rest of the people were charging like $80 to $100, so I was like, fuck, thank this guy. He is a lifesaver. And then the rubber mask, I just found, I think I might have got that off eBay. It came with a really cheap part 7 mask that's currently sitting in our living room somewhere right now. But the coat and everything like that, I just bought a coat off Amazon, tore it up, just threw some blood on it and everything. My own blood, thank you very much. And then for like the gloves and stuff, I just got some bone hands with some protruding bone parts and everything like that. Got some gloves, tore the gloves up, put some fake blood on it that was made by Lily, and just put all that shit to use, and bam.
That's fucking fantastic.
That's impressive, yeah.
Just so too, I know that I think a couple people are going to talk about this, so I might as well just say this. Is that a big thing at my house with my dad is a Halloween party. In addition, Sarah also hosted a Halloween party as well. So some of these memories are going to be at Sarah's Halloween party or my Halloween party. So I just wanted to say that right off the bat. So in case other people are adding in, you can understand what the fuck they're talking about. Whose Halloween party they're talking about? It's either mine or Sarah's. So Vinny.
All right. What are we starting with? Costumes?
Yeah, it's growing up with Halloween.
I kind of selected a few from the recesses of my brain, the deep places. One of the earliest I can remember really liking that I did, of course, I think I was only like 6 years old. I was a Frankenstein monster.
Nice.
And I put myself in all. I had to make sure I was wearing all black. That's how I pictured him. Because I was a monster kid, specifically the Universal characters.
Really? That's oh my god! What?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
And I found this. I was obsessed with Halloween masks too around that time as a kid.
It.
I loved them, so I found this for what it was actually really nice and detailed. This kind of generic, but pretty well done rubber Frankenstein mask, full headed. That I bought, and I just slipped it over, and I remember walking around like that, like with the hands out.
You're fucking owning it. That's
I remember that, and then like eventually later, some years later, I would do the Wolfman, and I think at that point though that was still like more of a mask that I had gotten. And then one of the oddest ones I did, but I remember this was probably like 6th grade. I was a gladiator. And specifically kind of supposed to be like the Maximus character from the movie. And it was probably a year after the movie had come out that I had seen it. So I was obsessed with it then.
Naturally.
And then, I don't know, like later on, I feel like I was able to get even more into making my own shit later on.
Dude, making costumes is so
that could
fun.
be some of the funnest. You know, like one year when we were in like early college, I did the Golden Age Night Owl from Watchmen.
And actually, it was the same year that I did Jekyll and Hyde, and I actually had half of my face was all made up.
He was all fucked up.
He did the makeup. He did the makeup for that.
And you borrowed the costume too.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the same outfit I had worn the year before. It was a pretty sick costume.
It's awesome.
It was a sick
It's
costume.
a dope costume.
It was basically I used it to do almost like a Jack the Ripper guy.
Yeah.
The year prior.
So you
reused it. But yeah, I did like Night Owl. I did that one. Then I tried making. I think I tried Magneto a few years later, and I built a helmet.
I was gonna say you did the helmet.
I built a helmet out of paper mache. Actually, I
shit.
found that on. I found like a template for it. A guy did on YouTube.
Wow.
That was my first attempt at Magneto. I tried him again the following year. And then, there were some other ones. I did Deadpool a couple times, and that was just fun.
I did Deadpool too.
Yeah, it was fun to run around as. And then
there's a lot of people who did Deadpool.
Another, I think, one that I would give myself maybe some creative points for was I had grown out a pretty thick beard at the time. My hair was pretty much how you see it now, maybe a little bit slightly different. And I got the idea to gray it all up and do the scar makeup. And I ordered the prop use claws, and I did old Logan from the last Logan movie. And I did like his open jean shirt with the carved up bloody tank top, that white beater that he's wearing underneath it.
Oh, nice.
That one, that was probably. And then of course the other character that I did a few outings as, most recently I think it was one of the best, was the Joker.
Nice.
Although not the film, not the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, who is not the Joker in my opinion, but the classic
thoughts here.
But the classic fucking Joker, specifically seen in the Killing Joke comic.
It would be good for that too, yeah.
He's definitely done it a few times. Ironically enough, my favorite costume from the video ever did was not at a Halloween party. It was at an 80s themed New Year's Eve party.
Oh, yeah. I got to do this one day, even more on a bigger scale. And who is that, Mark?
So that would be Christian Bale's character of Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman
from American Psycho.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised?
I wore because it was supposed to be 80s themed. Me and Mark, I think, were the only ones who went all out. With costumes.
Of course we did. Like, I showed up literally looking like fucking Whitesnake.
Yeah, he had his outfit.
Dude, I had like crazy tight leather pants and the open velvet shirt.
That was your costume.
Eyeliner.
Well, it's funny because you kind of reprised it.
Acceptable, but
you reprised it. So
as a horror character.
Yeah, I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do 80s that I can fit right now? I have the hair. I had the hair at the time. Everything. I said, dude, I told Mark I'm going to be Patrick Bateman. And so I just wore more like his Wall Street outfit with the pants, the suspenders, the big tie, and
dude, that was a Rick and Morty moment, dude. That was literally like, son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah. Someday I want to do like him in the full suit with the clear raincoat and the blood spatter and the axe.
Dude, you gotta walk around with a boombox that's just constantly playing Hip to Be Square.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah,
dude, I'm pretty. I can't remember if we drove there in costume. I don't know. I don't remember because I remember meeting up with my dad and I have a slight memory. It was New Year's Eve. My dad was trying to get a deal for my sister's car, and I had to drop off some money to him. And he walked into the restaurant. He was sitting there with a vodka, being all pissed and brooding.
I don't think you were dressed up yet.
He didn't get the deal.
Yeah. I do remember that.
I remember driving. I was like, "You didn't get the deal, did you?" He's like, "No, fucking bastards."
Oh my god.
Dude, literally, and he ended up, it was 8 o'clock at night, he ended up going to a couple more places, and he was fighting with them over $100. He literally left and walked out. And he left, went 5 feet away from the door, and they closed the door, and he's like, what the fuck, am I arguing over $100? And they literally turned around and walked back to the door, and the door was closed. So he made them, if I left me back in, I don't want to argue over $100. But that was on the way to that. I
don't think we had the costumes on during that.
Because he would have said something. He would have been like,
it would have fit though. It would have been funny. At least mine probably would have worked for that moment. But yeah, so there's been that. I've done a few other ones, but don't know. I have a few ideas of something to do this year.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the big ones I want to still try to do, I've been wanting to do it for years, is the Lon Chaney London After Midnight character.
Nice.
Which is a vampire in a top hat, but it's a very specific vampire.
Isn't that film Lost?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm still debating what the hell I want to do this year. If I can find a good enough latex mask, I might try to do Freddy. But just finding a good high quality one, because there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to do the fucking makeup or be able to afford somebody to do that for the time I needed. So
dude.
I need to find a really good latex mask.
I just thought sitting here too, I think another one I'm going to do, if anybody watching this has seen the movie, Mark's going to want to strangle me, is I want to do Vincent Price's character from House of Wax. The good House of Wax from 1950s.
There is no good House of Wax.
There are two good ones. The new one is horseshit.
However,
the
only thing is we get to see Paris Hilton die. That's it.
Yeah, but the one I want to do is Vincent Price at the end when it is revealed that his face is fake. It gets smashed, and it's wax, and beneath it he's all burned and disfigured. And I'd love to do that and use like mask pieces to make the fake wax face shattered over the burnt face. I think that peeking through. I think that would be
that could be cool.
I think that could be a really cool costume.
Nice.
For real.
Did you do the whole trick or treat thing, man? The and rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
And everything else?
My god. As a kid, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, we used to go. We used to go around a lot of our local neighborhoods. And I lived in Geneva. That's where I really grew up. And there were, some of the neighborhoods were great. And I think one of the funnest things for me was not even like getting the candy. It was going with people, running around at night in your costumes, and seeing the different houses like done up. And there were just some creative fucking people. Right. This one year, I really remember there was this house that was tucked away in this dark street. And they had their whole yard done up, with different, characters standing there. But you went up to get your candy from a body that was laying. It looked like a dead body, and they had it in a full coffin. And you walked up, and we thought maybe it's probably a dummy. Whoever committed to this deserves a medal because we went up, and when you grab the candy, he'd wake up and grab your hand and shit as you were trying to do it. It was so cool.
Dude, I would not approach that when I was a kid.
Those people. I thought it was
such a scaredy cat.
It was scary, but I loved it. I loved the thrill of that, and I think now what a fucking creative.
I have
thing to do as a family.
I have one even better. There was a dude across the street from my Nana and Papa's, and literally what he would do is he would dress up as one of the Kiss characters. I think he was Star Child.
Oh, nice.
And literally he would sit in a chair and there would be a strobe light next to him. But here's the crazy part. He built a life cast dummy of himself with the same shit, and he would switch it out every once in a while. So they would so he would literally fuck with the neighborhood kids. He would literally put the dummy out for an hour and leave the candy there, and then the kids would go and is he real? And then they touch the dummy, and then they would tell their other friends yeah, it's just a dummy, just don't worry about it. And then he would switch it out. He would be there legitimately a person and scare the shit out of the kids when they went to go poke him.
What an interesting thing to dress up as, though.
I don't know.
That's scary.
Paul Stanley from Kiss. Yeah. You know what's funny about that is my brother and I did Kiss People one year. He was Gene Simmons and I did Ace Frehley.
Nice. So you were the cat and he was the
no. Ace Frehley's the space.
Oh, he's the space alien. Yeah. And then he was the demon.
Yeah.
So dude. Oh my god. The
It was probably more makeup and the hair, and then we took old shoes and spray painted them silver and.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being scary to kids who don't really know
who that
these
is.
Characters and these people. That's a pretty frightening looking get-up for some kids. Yeah.
I guess to some kids who aren't exposed to horror movies at the age of 2.
Right.
Yeah, Gene Simmons Gene Simmons' character would have been. He would have made more sense to scare people there.
I think it was the strobe light mostly.
The strobe light.
Cool,
did he also have
the
fog machine?
Fun.
No, he didn't. And then that was the most disappointing part. Because I actually the funny thing is my grandfather, my papa actually ruined it. He's like, that dude's from Kiss. And I'm like, and my papa's a character, man, dude. Like, this is a guy.
I bet he was out there all night.
Oh my god, this is a dude. Like
on.
when he used to dress up and everything else, he dressed up as a big fucking baby one year.
Oh my
literally
god!
a giant diaper and like a little like shirt and a giant ass bottom.
Love
it's
that.
fucking insane.
One final memory I came to mind of me. It's not. It was actually a decoration. It was it was part of a Halloween display involving pumpkins, and I think it's probably one of the most creative things I've ever seen. Kind of simple, but great. They made basically a scarecrow, and it was like a scarecrow, really pretty well done, well stuffed, posed, and his back was to the street, so he was looking back, and the head was this big smiling. Looking, it's funny because it was a pumpkin carved out, and it looked like it was laughing. It was like that, and the pants were pulled down, and they took two pumpkins and made his big ass sticking out.
I've seen that before.
And I thought that was just fucking wonderful. I think I took a few photos that year.
That's awesome. Dude, Vinny brought up something interesting, and I was going to ask you too, because I'm going to ask everybody. Like, besides the trick or treat thing, did you have any like cool houses that were decorated that you really dug?
Dude, plenty. Yo, one of my old neighbors, she had like what was essentially the biggest fucking house in the neighborhood, and she went all out for every type of season, you name it. But Halloween, she had gravestones out, massive fucking fog machines, lights strewn out all over the bloody place. Like, it wasn't rated R or anything like that, which, but whatever. But it was cool seeing shit like that.
Yeah, right. the large effort.
Yeah, but no. Speaking of Kiss thing, this reminds me of one guy that we used to go to every year. So this is where my heavy metal knowledge comes into play, because there's this one guy. It's just like, if you could, every heavy metal band you can name, I will give you an extra piece of candy. And I named like 20 bands. My other buddy would name like 20 bands. Other buddy, because he listened to nothing but rap, would just be there like, AC/DC?
No. I'm gonna take back candy.
That deducts you 3 pieces of candy for that shit. Yeah,
they're awesome, but no. But no.
You get an apple.
So.
Oh shit! Oh, dude, baby, that's cold. That's cold. You get raisins and
a little too much.
I would have liked a popcorn ball.
Oh yeah, those were great. I still like those.
People give out more of those.
Dude, popcorn balls were fun, dude.
The fuck are those?
Good.
That's classic Halloween.
It was like literally a ball of fucking popcorn.
But it was like kind of caramel sweet, so it was like salty sweet.
Is that how they stuck it
I believe
together?
it was like candy corn, kind of like caramelized or.
Never seen
But
one of
oh
those
my
before.
god,
Yeah,
they're
it's just a
pretty
big white
good.
popcorn ball, and you could eat. They reference it in "It's the Great Pumpkin," Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Nice.
You could still buy. I actually do think I just saw them in the store too, so you can get
I'll
them.
have to try one day, but I've never seen one.
They're
of those
good.
before.
Dude, I've had some like legit actual trick or treat candy and everything else. Like, I was just thinking about that, like giving like the full size candy bars, and then also like somebody giving like really expensive chocolate out, and then also my favorite
where he grew up.
It
makes
sense. What was some of the cool ones?
Yeah,
though? Like,
everything was probably
speaking
big.
of which, since you guys, I assume suburbs, right? Most of
no,
you.
she's city.
I'm
Okay.
Chicago.
Okay,
Which
but you
we gotta get to that.
Okay, so here's the thing. My buddy Adam, he grew up in his neighborhood, because this is where my buddy Kevin moved to, and that's how I learned about this. They can only trick or treat for like 2 fucking hours or some shit like.
Oh fuck! Officially, yeah, but people were fucking out till whatever.
Okay,
They
because I heard about that. I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
Oh, dude, nobody followed that fucking.
Yeah, it's from like the dumbest times, from like 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm like, what?
There never was really like
Kinda
an
dumb.
ending time to trick or treating.
It's kind of organic.
Yeah, because I mean,
There wasn't, but did you know that some places like our area, they did try to make time restrictions on it. Like, they did try to be trick-or-treating hours are starting at 4 p.m. and only go till like 6 or something. Basically, they tried to do it so kids were not trick-or-treating after dark. And we always we defied it, because we said you trick-or-treat at night.
Yeah,
that's night.
That's
you
one
don't
of the best
trick-or-treat
parts.
at dusk.
Dude,
right.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind if you start at dusk, but you don't end it like 5 minutes later, like some asshole. Like,
I wonder if that was the helicopter parent shit of the era that started that kind of crap.
I never had a problem like that with my mother though. Like we'd go out as late as fuck. And then when I could start doing it on my own, it was like
either.
it
was whenever.
I think when I was younger, we did have our parents like around. But they were like 5 houses behind us. Like they could see us. They could see what we were up to. Like this is when I was like 8 or 9. Like they could see us, but they weren't in our fucking space. Like they weren't like right next to us. Or they didn't do the thing that fucking like gives me a fucking aneurysm when the fucking cars pull up. And they let the fucking kids out. Yeah, and they fucking shuttle their kids from house to house.
Who the fuck does
like,
that?
No, I've seen that shit before.
Okay,
I have
so
not.
time out though. I will give a pass to parents that shuttle them to a different neighborhood and then let them go.
Done.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let them go. That's that's just like going to the greener pastures. Like like half of these houses give away the full size. So I'm gonna let these kids out.
Have fun, little Billy.
Do like that fucking episode of Simpsons. She should have just let them go.
Just go.
Dude, what episode was that, Brandon?
That was a Halloween episode.
Yeah,
right?
that was the Halloween of Horror.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The one we did the screaming room on, right?
Is that a later one?
Yeah.
It's like a legit episode that takes place at Halloween. It's not one of the Treehouse of Horrors.
Is that old though?
No, it's a recent one, but it's really
new.
good.
It's new, so I probably didn't see it.
It's really good. It's called Halloween of Horror.
That's like season 20.
Dude,
It's like
adult
24, 26, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Hey, Brandon, remember Adult Halloween?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious to hear. Oh, go ahead.
So just funny, like just some of the fucking cultures and how shit has changed over the years, and how we were like the last ones to get fucking freedom, let run, like let run to do.
Well, and I'm curious to hear. So Halloween in the city, you say?
Well, I mean, I grew up northwest side Chicago, so Edison Park. It wasn't like I was. I mean, I was close enough to where I could just hop on the the L or the buses, but I wasn't like in the city. You were probably more in the city than I was.
I was in Wrigleyville.
Yeah, so I was like in a typical Chicago neighborhood. It was a cops and firefighters neighborhood. All the Chicago cops and firefighters lived in the area. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty normal Halloween. I mean, we would start after school and go out, and it was, still light out, but, like, I always remember my parents, like, telling us yes or no to a specific house, and I'm talking about the houses that, like, looked old and, like, run down, and you could tell, like, maybe older people live there, they haven't kept up their house in a few years, and, like, the lights are off and shit, but, like, me and my sister would go up and be like, "Is this okay?" And Mom would be like, just skip it. Just skip it. They're not going to be answered. Just skip it.
Like those fucking people, man. Like the fucking people who we don't celebrate Halloween.
Right, yeah. But I mean, everyone. I mean, yeah, it was a good time. I mean, I think some of my favorite costumes when I was a little kid. I think I was like 3 years old. And my mom, like, asked me, like, specifically, what do you want to be for Halloween this year? And she thought, because I was little, I was, like, 2 or 3, I wasn't going to answer. She was just going to put me in whatever. I was like, well, I want to be a bumblebee.
Hold on. Let's take a quick survey. Zach, Vinny, Brandon, Victor, does any of that sentence surprise you whatsoever?
Meh.
No.
No, not at all.
I was like, I want to be a bumblebee. And I was like, oh, well, okay. Like, I don't even know if they sell that in the store. Like, okay. And she couldn't, like, find one at the time. Now you can. You see kids in little, like, ladybug costumes and stuff nowadays. But, like, in the early 90s, there wasn't, like, a Bumblebee costume. So, and I'm pretty sure I got the idea off of, like, a Barney episode where, like, some girl was singing about bumblebees or something. I don't know. Whatever it was, I wanted to be a bumblebee. So, yeah, my mom made it. She just took, like a shirt and put some black shirt, put some, like, yellow felt stripes and bought some wings, and I was a little bumblebee for Halloween.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then, as time went on, of course, I ran into the Disney princess phase, and I wanted to be Snow White and Cinderella and Tinkerbell and, and Esmeralda.
Normal. I mean,
I have,
except she still wants to be those.
Yeah.
Is that really that outrageous compared to some people out in the world today?
Not at all.
But like Disney was like a big, pretty big when we were kids with all the movies coming out, and every year there was a new one. And one good or favorite thing of mine that happened was I took dance class as a kid from the age of 2.5 to 18 years old. And it was so fun because at the weekend before Halloween, my teacher would have us come dressed up in our little Halloween costumes. We got to dance. And I have quite a few old photos of the whole group, us with our dance teacher and all the kids. And there's the one photo where the year that Hunchback of Notre Dame came out, there's 3 Esmeraldas in the group, and I'm one of them.
Just like Family Guy. What was it? Superman! There's a Superman, there's a monster, and then there's a Mexican princess.
But you
there's
have
a vampire, a werewolf, and a Mexican princess!
But you have that was it. I mean, it's the same thing now. How many Elsas
were
out? You
would
know what I mean?
Elsas,
It was the thing.
yeah.
The Pocahontas, I remember when I was in kindergarten, there was 5 Pocahontases in my class that year,
Yeah, I could see that.
So,
Probably
it just
depended on which one was the new...
It was a very popular thing. It still is. The
Yeah.
girls love the princesses. Moana now and, everything. Girls love to do the new princess.
and
So
it's
that was a big thing when I was a kid.
One, it's why the hell not, too?
That's
exactly...
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And then as I got older... It really sucked because I went to a Catholic school, and I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but it wasn't your typical public school. And I don't know if they did this for you guys, but once you got to 4th grade, that's pretty young, right? 4th grade, they're you're not allowed to come dressed in Halloween costumes. You're too old.
No,
wow.
So that was
Fuck that.
So I actually so I was in Catholic school all the way up to 3rd grade, but once I got to public school, which was 4th grade, that's when I started just hating everything.
Oh,
but, yeah,
I still wanted to dress up.
Yeah, you couldn't. They wouldn't. They didn't allow anybody.
4th grade, what are you, 10?
No, they only allowed preschoolers and kindergartners to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Anybody above that? Nah, fuck you. It's what?
No,
Mine was at least
insane.
until 6th grade. that's when they started
not
chopping
even.
it.
Yeah, mine was still
4th
6th grade or
4th
something.
grade, they're
Yeah.
you guys are not allowed to wear your Halloween costumes to school. You're only allowed to wear orange and black. I was like, what the fuck? I was so
probably
mad.
Probably didn't even get Halloween parties
No,
anymore.
it was just okay, well, you can come and you can bring candy if you want, but we're not gonna pause and have a Halloween party.
It's the
when I
devil's
was
holiday.
when I remember my last school Halloween party, well, in grade school at least, we'll get to my later years, but it was we took time out of the day. The room moms. You guys had room moms
Yes.
when you were in school?
I
moms.
missed that.
So the room moms were 2 moms from any kid in your class.
Yeah, and they would
my
volunteer
mom
to help.
was the room
Yeah.
mom.
Oh, we had
lot.
parents and volunteers for
My
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
was the room mom for
Of
many
course.
years. Yeah, she loved to volunteer, loved to be involved in school. So she would come, and then one other of the kids' mothers would come, and then we'd come back from music class or something, and the whole room would be decorated for Halloween, and we'd pause and we hand out our treats to our friends, and we play a few games. It was great. I fucking loved it. And then when I got to 4th grade, they're that's all over for you guys. You're too old.
So for us, it depended on the teacher. Wow. And I only had one teacher that was a straight up bitch, and that was my 6th grade teacher.
It was horrible. I'm fucking Halloween. It's a kid's thing.
No, this woman was just straight fucking stern. The only person she liked was her nephew. We all fucking hated her.
But you know what got me the most aggravated was when I got to 5th grade and it was still the same story. You cannot dress up. You can wear orange and black or whatever you want, but you can't dress up. I show up to school that year and my fucking teacher's dressed in a costume.
Oh.
And so was a few others. I was so mad. And I called my teacher out. I was like, so you and Miss So-and-so are dressed up in costumes, but we as children, 5th graders, are not allowed? And she's like, well,
No,
she
that's
really
when-
didn't have a response.
That's when you tell your
I was
teacher
so
to fuck
mad.
off.
I was so mad.
Yeah,
You
that
have
is-
no idea.
that
And
is
then, of course, 7th and 8th grade, same story. But here's the funny thing, get to high school, come dressed up as in your costumes for Halloween.
Our high school, they did that.
I'm like, oh my god, this is great. We're all dressed up, and that was every year. Freshman to senior year, come dressed up on Halloween, and the teachers would have, candy and do fun stuff. So it's what were they trying to teach us? You know, what was the point of that? We're kids in 4th grade, but yet when we get to high school, like, we can have fun again? Like, what is this shit? I was so confused.
Our high school, it just depended on the mood that year. Like, it's,
Yeah.
one year you would, one year you wouldn't, one year somebody would be pissed off at somebody else, and there'd be, like, a whole stupid thing going on throughout my fucking high school was retarded.
It's the same kind of people, man. Like, I have a very, very, like, distinct and specific memory of I was with my dad, who it took several years for him to get to dress up until he met the right girl that got him to dress up, because he didn't do it for years. But but I remember him talking, I think, to my Aunt Cindy or my Aunt Debbie, and there was a house that was fucking like lit down, and they had a sign up there and everything else. We don't celebrate this holiday. Don't ring the doorbell. No one will answer. And I remember him like literally, and I don't think he didn't think I was in earshot, but I did listen to this. He's like, what a bunch of fucking assholes. Like this is like, and Brandon's laughing because like I can tell everybody knows they can hear my dad saying that. Like, you know, he's like, we're a bunch of fucking assholes. You know, like, and he went in this whole thing and he's like, it's about the fucking kids. Like, this is a kid, this is for kids to believe in something and like, believe in, you know, and have fun and be magic and be kids. Like, I think that was his whole speech, and he's like, you can't go to a fucking dollar store and go buy, you know, $1, you know, worth of a bag of candy. Yeah. Really? You can't do that? Leave it out on a porch and everything else and call it a day. Like, you got to be that person.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what's so funny too, and that happened a lot with like, because you know I was involved in the church, you know, in a lot of different ways, and some people had very different. Yeah, a long time ago. So you know, now I'm not allowed to cross the threshold. So you know, a lot of people had a lot of, you know, like, you know, half of the people were really stuck up and didn't participate. But I had one lady, I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I liked at least her mentality about it. She's very religious, but she's like, you know what? But yes, it is for the kids. So what I would do is I would have a piece of candy and I would put a little like a Bible verse in it and everything else. And I'm like. Okay, like that's a compromise.
Meet in the middle.
Is it an eye roll moment? Yes, but it's, you know, she's like, I also, and she specifically said yes, I do have religious things with this holiday, but at the same time I don't want to, you know, this is also for the kids. She understood that it was for the kids and everything else, and she didn't want to be that person who shut kids out. Like, she wanted to be the person that was welcoming.
That's good.
So I mean,
you do it with your own level of comfortability.
Yeah. It's a good way to meet in the middle.
Whatever.
It is.
Like, I'm fine with
You know
it.
what's funny is
Just throw the Bible verse out later.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you know what's funny? It's like I have nothing against any religion or anything, never have, but it's just like the people that used to, number one, I feel like that's maybe dialed back a little bit.
It was very heavy in the 90s.
That was heavy in the 90s.
Yeah,
it was the
like,
same
this is
people.
Satanism,
It was
paganism.
it was the same people who bandwagoned and weren't going to let their kids read Harry Potter.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it was that kind of shit.
Remember that shit.
And that was a weird time. But when I really think about it, the people that are anti-Halloween for a religious reason, I'm like, clearly you know nothing about the origins of Halloween what contributed. Yes, there might be pagan elements, but there's also, there's Irish roots in it. There's the roots of All Saints Day.
Correct.
All Hallows Eve and that into it.
It's so
I'm
mixed.
like, yeah.
It's so evolved.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know the history of that, and it just comes from a place of necessarily ignorance.
Complete ignorance.
I mean, you know, and the funny thing is, too, is I remember, you know, I was having a discussion with my dad, because every year, like, you know, somehow we end up talking about money. And, you know, not shocking.
Oh, really?
And it's still the second most profitable holiday in the country. It's next to Christmas.
That's crazy.
I think it's like 5 or 6 billion a year in consumer products for Halloween. And everything, costumes, candy, decorations, all that shit. And he's like, you know, the funny thing is, like, in the 90s, it actually really made a comeback, Halloween, because in the 70s and 80s, it actually really had died down, because in the 50s and 60s it was good, but a lot of counterculture came in, and then also a lot of the rumors of the razor blades and the bobbing for apples and poison shit, that was
check
big.
Your candy.
Check your candy. Like, that became very big in the 80s and the 70s.
Wow.
So, like, you know, and then Halloween had kind of died down and kind of left popularity. Honestly, what really made Halloween popular was all the adults that had grown up in the 50s and 60s and everything else, and now they had kids in the 90s, you know, because my dad was a kid in the late 60s, early 70s, and he had kids, and then, you know, they said, oh, well, this was really special to me, like, let's introduce the kids, and then also, more importantly, it became profitable for adults. and more adults in the 90s were starting to participate in Halloween, because back in the day, adults didn't, like, maybe you would have like a social party, like very small, but like the 90s was huge for not only that and also adults, and I think that's where a lot of that Christian blowback came from, because there was a lot of adults getting involved, and then also too, of course, the Chad speech from Scream Queens, it's or even Barney, like it became a very promiscuous holiday nonetheless. Like,
especially with the
when a girl dress up as a nun, it's not a nun, it's a sexy nun or a sexy
like
nurse.
From Mean Girls, where it's like, okay, basically Halloween for girls means you wear some kind of animal ears with a specific lingerie.
Unleash your inner whore.
Yeah.
Just
wear lingerie with animal ears.
There you go. Because that's a costume.
There you go. Your costume.
It's something.
Dude, I saw one girl dressed up as Slutty Al Qaeda one year. I love that fucking show.
What is that?
Scream Queens.
I want to see that. Just that. I want to see Slutty Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
so fucking funny. So I was going to ask you too. What were some of like the houses that were dressed up?
I was actually going to resort back to you were talking about, now that we're on the topic of I'm not going to get too deep, but like Christianity, Catholics, that stuff. When I was a kid, and even now, it was a big thing for churches to host haunted houses.
Which was so ironic.
Really?
Where I grew up.
Is it true that they made them into hellscapes? Like, this is what hell looks like, or is that all bullshit?
That came later.
I don't even know if that's real.
Some churches, that was their goal, to be like, this is what happens if you do drugs, that kind of bullshit. But the thing is, they had... Like, it was a thing. Like, the church by my grandma's house, I think it was St. Cornelius, the school, because a lot of times schools and churches, that's how it was in my neighborhood. You go to this Catholic school, well, there's a church tied to it. But they would, together host, the students would be involved, the faculty would be involved, like, the parish, people from the parish would be involved, and they would put together a haunted house. And they were pretty good. I mean, I never went to that one, but I remember I went to one, I can't remember the name of the church. It was in my neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, it's in the church's basement. Like, but it was good. It had nothing to do with preaching or anything.
No,
it just was
a
raw, scary. No, and it was pretty scary. It was pretty, cool. Demonic at some point. It was like, whoa, like, this was pretty intense for, it was creative and clever. My dad even went to it, and he's like, oh my God, like, my heart was really pounding during, like, some of the rooms we went in.
I love your dad.
But it was so cool. Like, and there was a room with, like, people, like, it was all black, and, like, people were wearing black costumes with, like, bright neon dots, but, like, the whole room was covered in these dots. So all of a sudden, like, you see, like, movement on the walls, a dots moving towards you, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But there's even, like, that wasn't just the gist. I mean, there was, like, creepy stuff and, like, it really well done makeup and, it was great. Like, they did really well with their haunted house.
Oh, and the way that, like, them and, like, DePaul used to do their haunted house. My Aunt Cindy, dude, got taken by a bunch of fucking witches. Oh my God. Back in the day, like, they literally, like, back in the day when they could grab her, they literally, five fucking witches grabbed my Aunt Cindy and everything else and dragged her out. My uncle Brian, who she was dating at the time, but I still call him my Uncle Brian, he literally had to go and fucking bust down a door to actually get her out because they were going to chain her up.
Messed up.
My family had a very interesting history with it. My dad got my dad was in a haunted house, and this is the last time he was in a haunted house. I think you'd heard this story.
Oh yeah.
So my dad was a Golden Gloves boxer. So literally he was in a haunted house. Some dude that was in a Skeletor mask grabbed his shoulder. Didn't even grab it hard, just grabbed his shoulder. Freaked him out so hard, he turned around and fucking gave him a right hook. And they were so mad. Like, he literally took out his mask, like, dude, what the fuck? It's a haunted house. I was like, you touch me, you son of a bitch, I touch you. And then they tossed him out.
He got thrown out.
I think he got banned for life, actually. I think this was the DePaul, the DePaul haunted house. He got banned for life.
God.
That's one of their fucking guys. So, but back in the day, and the funny thing is, there's so much, it's kind of a rich history. Back in the turn of the century, of like the late 1800s and 1900s, haunted houses were actually done as haunted attractions from the carnivals. And they would do all kinds of crazy shit and everything else. And actually, they did what they did do is, and they got this from the Renaissance plays back in the day. They would actually have like legitimate squibs that they would use inside there.
Wow.
And then in the Renaissance, they would make like actual baggies of like fake blood, and they would cut the baggies.
Yeah,
and it would come out and everything else. So, and the funny thing is, obviously, that kind of environment, created kind of a seedy environment. So they it was one of those things that are like, it's getting kind of seedy, not only the goodest people. So, in the early 1900s, I think it was like the tens or the teens, the churches started doing this because they were actually noticing that there was a decrease in the youth coming to church at that time. So they actually said, like, let's start doing, something to promote, and have the kids come and work it, and then have the kids come, because a lot of those were just completely run by kids. Like they attended by kids, and then they were ran by kids being teenagers. And then that kind of evolved into the 70s and everything else, which came into that type of situation where where you could have, churches running really good haunted houses.
There was even a year where you could buy a ticket, and it would be good for like a few different church haunted houses in your area. So you buy this ticket, you could go to this church, that church, or this church. Just one ticket, you could buy like a, like that's how big it was in
cool.
the area I
It was a good marketing
lived.
ploy.
It was.
It was pretty cool, but one last thing I want to touch on was when I got to college. Because when I got to college, Halloween was something.
You went to an art school.
Different ball game
I went
at
to
that
an art
point.
school. Now, forget about, at this point I let go the whole fourth grade bullshit because like, it paid back when I got to college. Like, it was awesome. They went all out. Like, there was pretty much, like, that day of school, like, classes were just canceled, like, half day, like, because the rest of the day is going to be Halloween celebration. Like, students would come and build their costumes, like, out of cardboard. Like, the things you see when you go to conventions and cons and people are cosplaying, like, that's what was at my school. Like, we had a costume contest, so like, and a costume like fashion show in the gallery, the gallery we had there. So like at a certain time, everyone would meet in the gallery, and if you wanted to be a part of the fashion show, you could. And we had, our teachers were the judges, and they were dressed up. Like the teachers would go all out, and they would dress up, and we would dress up, and you could do the runway, and then you could, they picked the winner. There was like a shit ton of candy, and like it just was awesome. We had our photography studio there, and you can get your picture professionally taken in your costume, like for free, and it just was like the best. And
made up for all that childhood turmoil there.
Yeah.
Man, I wish AI was that fun. Fuck.
Yeah.
I was like one of the few people who came to school dressed up.
And like this one kid, now forgive me if I mess up this character's name because I'm not a superhero fan, but Bane, was it Bane?
Did he have a mask?
With
and
that
was he
like
both?
weird ass thing?
Yeah, you got it. Okay, you got it.
One of the
Batman's nemesis.
students came dressed as him, and he built his like mask, and like, but he kind of wasn't paying attention to how much air he was getting in, and we
oh my god!
So he won. He was first place. Okay, for the costume contest. Now this gallery will be packed with people. So here this kid, so it's the end of the show, and then the teacher's like, and first place winner is so-and-so for his, Bane costume. Everyone's like, and he's like, again, so-and-so for his Bane costume. And everyone's like, what? I want to see, like, John, like, I don't know what his name was. I want to see him. Where is he? Where's it? And the teacher comes running back, and the guy, he's actually in the hallway. He almost passed out. He had to take his mask off.
I never thought Bane would suffocate himself in his mask. That's amazing.
I don't have to defeat Bane. Bane will defeat himself.
And everyone's like, oh, shit. Oh, God. What the But it was a lot of fun. And it definitely made up for the years of lost time at, where I was only allowed to wear orange and black.
I would love to hear him be like, oh, it wasn't me. It turns out that breathing is the bane of my existence.
Oh,
fuck you.
Good memories.
No, dude, even Brandon probably would have trouble with that pun. That was
it.
bad.
I love
And then finally, when I graduated college, obviously got my first graphic design job. Me and a few other people there, a lot of people I worked with came from Turkey. Like, they had a different culture when it came to Halloween. It was more about their children. They, as adults, they weren't really like, oh, we're gonna dress up. But like me and a few other people were like, hey, no, like you could dress up and like let's make a thing out of it. So yeah, I mean, really only me and a few other people dressed up, but like we did and we had fun. And my favorite costume I did, and I wore it for the Halloween party I would always host with my sister. I was Sally from American Horror Story. And I think I did pretty good. Which
character is that?
She was the one from Hotel season 5.
That's the one who was in the latex
Sarah
outfit.
Paulson. No.
Frizzy hair.
Sarah Paulson. She
Brandon, do you know who she's talking about?
Yeah,
I did not watch
Sarah
Hotel.
Paulson's
I
character.
didn't watch it.
Yeah.
So
That's
she
like the
was
one
she was one of the, I mean, I guess you could say vampire type people that was in that season. These people were supposed to be like a vampire-like persona in this season. They had like a virus that made them like they could live forever, but they would have to drink blood. But they didn't do it like with the vampire teeth and everything. They just would slit people's throats and drink it.
Oh, that's kind of
actually no. I take it back. She wasn't. She was just simply an entity in the hotel. Oh. So there were those vampire-like creatures, and that was Lady Gaga's character. But Sarah Paulson, she just was simply one of the spirits that was trapped eternally in the hotel. And she was kind of like a junkie, and she she was supposed to be from the 90s, but she looked more like 80s. So I'd say like late 80s, early 90s. She had like the crazy
big
like Madonna like hair.
Yeah.
And like she had like like a leopard print jacket, and I actually really want to redo the costume one day because it was a lot of fun. It was very easy to throw together, but like it was very iconic. So yeah, I mean that was like my probably my top favorite costume I ever did.
That's awesome. Hey, and I was gonna ask too because I asked them, when you were growing up in the cop neighborhood and everything else, did you get to see any like cool houses that when they went when they ballered out? Was that not really the thing?
Not really. It really wasn't. I mean, there was one house in like a kind of a area close to mine that a neighbor of ours would make like his own little haunted house from his garage and stuff, and his like driveway into his garage kind of thing. I never went, but I know like a friend of mine lived nearby there, and like she would always talk about how he really went all out for Halloween and like really like put a bunch of animatronics and big things in his and really make it exciting. So yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. But yeah, there wasn't like any like really people who went like crazy in my neighborhood. I mean, it just was. I mean, yeah, we had the nearby neighborhoods like Park Ridge, or like, hey, you go to Park Ridge, you're gonna get the king size,
Yeah.
But like, where I lived, it was all just, I remember this poor old man was outside, and his house wasn't done up or anything, and he's just in the driveway. I think he was like having a smoke, and he sees me and my sister coming around, and we were about to pass up his house. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, I don't have any candy, but I got some quarters here. So he like pulls out, he takes out his from his pocket a few quarters and hands us a quarter. And
oh my god, fucking Chicago.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a little candy, but here's some fucking quarters. Go nuts, kids. Go nuts.
That's interesting.
Very nice. That was about it.
That's fucking fit. That's awesome. So Brandon, Victor, they join in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna mostly limit this to.
Here.
But yeah, when I was a kid, Halloween was just kind of like it wasn't like looked down upon, but it wasn't like a huge thing. It was just like a one night a year thing. I do remember there was a parade when I was like 5 or so.
Really?
Oh, okay.
And I remember that was the year that I was the Riddler from Batman Forever.
How old were you?
I was probably would have been like around 5, maybe 4, maybe 6, but around that age.
Because that would have been around. I remember I had a friend who did that.
Yeah.
That's around when the movie would have been out.
When And I was actually in the parade, and I think it was my dad was like pulling me on like the red wagon that I had, and my picture was actually in the paper in the Riddler costume.
Please tell me you still have that paper.
I am gonna have to ask my parents. I'd imagine they'd still have it,
Yeah,
whether or not they know where it is, considering how many times we've moved and everything. That's another question. So the question isn't, do we still have it? The question is, do we know where it is?
Fair enough.
But yeah, I also remember it's like as a kid, it's like I don't remember all my costumes, but as I was thinking back about it, listening to you guys, I would say my costumes were kind of half and half. Like half were store-bought, the other half I either made or my parents made for me. Specifically, I remember one year I wanted to be a knight, and my dad made like a knight costume for me out of cardboard.
Cool.
I remember like one night, I remember he was at the kitchen room table and he just started
that's
stenciling
awesome.
out like something, like a circle or something. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm making your knight costume. I don't get it. He says, you'll get it in a few or something like that.
That's sweet.
I remember thinking it
That's
was just
real
amazing how he
dedication
turned
there.
just like construction paper into a knight costume. I have no idea if there are any pictures of that. I hope there are pictures of that somewhere because it's.
So do I.
I'd imagine it'd be really cool to see what he made out of that.
Yeah.
Then there was another. There was another one where another Halloween where I was Darth Vader, and I remember there was some kind of Halloween. Not really a party, but more like kind of like a Halloween function. There weren't many people there, but they did have Halloween, like kind of the different costume prizes. Like, Sarah, you had at your Halloween party, though I wasn't there. It was kind of the same thing with that, different categories.
Okay. Yeah.
And my Vader costume won most fierce, and I won a bag of ghost erasers.
Interesting.
Fierce meant a different thing
Oh,
back
were they
then.
like those tiny little erasers?
Yeah. But yeah, so when it comes to Halloween, like I remember, like it's kind of similar to what Sarah described, but it just seems like in my area, once you hit a certain age, you were too old for Halloween.
Okay.
We were never allowed to dress up at school ever, from what I remember.
Wow.
I might be wrong, but I do not remember dressing up for school.
I hate schools
Ever.
that do that.
And you went to a public school?
Yes.
Public schools can be more strict about that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
And so I don't remember being able to dress up, but I do remember there was this mentality that once you're a teenager, you're too old for Halloween and all that.
Yeah.
And so in 5th grade, that was the year where I got braces, and I'm pretty sure I've told this story multiple times before. So it was like I couldn't eat like more than half the kind of candy that would have been passed out anyway. So to me, it wasn't really worth it. But I still like dressed up. I made a Gandalf costume. Well, it started out as trying to make a Saruman costume because that was the year that Fellowship of the Ring came out.
Nerd.
But it ended up looking way more like Gandalf, so now I say it's a Gandalf
Was
costume.
it Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White?
Fellowship, it's gray.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Get your Lord of the Rings straight, Mark.
Dude, wow, we are all really.
Well, remember, I tried to make it Saruman, so it's accidentally Gandalf the White.
Wait,
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
Because it was Saruman the White.
I know, but
Yeah.
you
And
still went with Gandalf.
No, I was trying to make a Saruman costume.
Yeah.
But the way the beard ended up looking and everything looked more like Gandalf.
Also, everything was still white.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, what a I
So I
like how
tried
you
to-
were ahead of the curve.
Well, I did also listen to these Lord of the Rings radio dramas, so I knew the whole story before all the other kids did.
Literally.
So, sure, I was ahead of the curve.
The only
Whatever.
person other than him who probably knew Gandalf the White was coming was probably Wes.
Yeah.
I had a friend who read all the books too at that point, and he knew it.
So yeah, so
yeah.
I would answer the door as Gandalf, basically, and I was the one that handed out the kids. But whenever we didn't have trick-or-treaters ringing our doorbell, I was in the basement watching like TNT or USA, whatever. They had horror movies, and that was the year that I was really introduced to a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween sequels. And it's famously or infamously, however you want to look at it, the year where I finally saw Halloween 3 on, I think it was TNT.
I knew that was coming.
And because I remember thinking, okay, I want to see how bad this movie is. And I watched it, I was like, this is nowhere near as trash as people say it is. Okay.
How old? What?
I
how
would have
old
been
were
like
you?
11.
That might have been the same
10 or
time
11.
that I first saw Halloween 3 on the exact same channel because me and my buddies, we got back and we put it on. We were expecting to see just Michael Myers. And then we didn't see Michael Myers, except on a TV screen. So we were very upset.
You're not the only one.
You were just like the people who went and saw that movie in the theater when it came out.
Which I'm just going to say, Michael Myers not being in a movie isn't really a critique of good or bad of the actual movie itself. Like, if you don't like the movie, that's fine, but it's just like, at least judge the movie. Don't just say, Michael Myers isn't in this.
We were children, damn it. We couldn't think straight.
Dude, that's like saying Friday the 13th Part 5 is bad because Jason wasn't the killer.
Well, it is bad, but for other reasons.
Wait, who the hell's the killer in Part 5?
That's a whole other podcast, Vinny.
Yeah.
We're already at more than an hour here. We gotta keep moving.
Victor.
Yes.
What do you got, man?
As a kid, I would normally dress up as an army man, did the whole camouflage face paint and whatnot.
Nice.
And after that was mainly Dracula, vampires, because obviously during that time, during the 90s and 2000s, vampires was the new hot thing,
Real vampires.
Yeah. Well, and then of course a little bit of wrestling stuff and
nice.
Trying to think. Oh, all the Star Wars things from Darth Maul and Darth Vader.
I gotta ask, which wrestler?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Which wrestler?
Yeah.
I did a few Stone Cold stuff, and then I also had a Kane mask.
Yes! Nice, that's a good one. I was almost going to guess The Rock maybe at some point, but okay.
Oh, I would have gone with The Undertaker.
Yeah, The Undertaker's pretty dope.
The Undertaker is definitely another wrestler that's like super adjacent to the horror thing, so that's an easy one to be for Halloween. Yeah. And the last store-bought costume that I got was for Kick-Ass.
Nice.
Wow, all right.
Were you Kick-Ass himself or one of the other characters?
No, like Kick-Ass himself.
Nice. I thought about doing that at some point.
The only thing that was good about that costume was that I got pretty good boots. Everything else was just like super thin fabric, so it was
trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best of store bought.
The stuff you put like over your gym shoes to look like boots.
Yeah.
They have, like the elastic band. Elastic band underneath your shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had so many of those things, man.
It's like your gym shoes are. You might as well just wear your freaking gym shoes because you're gonna see them anyway.
Exactly. Especially when we were kids, they're fucking glow in the dark.
I still see that. I still see kids walking in those things.
That's cute though.
Is that it for you, Victor?
She just reminded me because we're talking about like onesies in a sense.
Nice.
Power Rangers. Power Rangers was another one.
Yeah.
All right. That was which Ranger and which color?
I almost want to say green, if not white.
I'll see you, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tommy.
I was Billy. Because I love blue. That's the reason why.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? For being a fan of Power Rangers for at least a year or two when I was a young kid, I never dressed up as one.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah, that was a big one during the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know what.
A close friend of mine would do Power Rangers every fucking year. There'd always be a new season, there'd always be a new... And he'd be every fucking Red Ranger you could imagine. It's just like for every goddamn year. It's like, good for him, man.
Hey, whatever works, brother, whatever works.
Dude, he was going on 18 and still doing it. I'm like, fuck, alright, you do you, man.
Zach, have you ever seen that huge Power Rangers box set that Shop Factory put out? The one that actually comes in a Red Ranger head?
What? No!
No, I have not.
That is a thing.
What seasons?
All?
Are you? No, there's no way it's all, because that shit's still going.
Well, it's still going, but it's like, I think it was like
Up
all
to
the
a certain
seasons
year.
up until that point.
When was this?
Where can I buy this?
Hold on. So I think what Brandon might be talking about, I think it goes up to the point where
I will find this information right now.
Right. Where we have all of the Red Rangers come together.
Forever Red.
For that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Forever Red.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it might be
Not a fan.
that box set might be for
Forever
that franchise and things of that nature.
Yeah,
Dude, that's got to be expensive as
Oh, is it
fuck
like a
now.
crossover universe?
'Cause I imagine
kind of
that's out of
thing,
print.
Well, not a universe. They
hardcore.
would have been in the same universe, right?
Yes, correct. It's something like
Yeah.
that. Anything else, Victor?
Anything else? I would just obviously clowns, because obviously been a fan of ICP, and being a juggalo, so
he's been a juggalo.
So it's a very easy costume to replicate every Halloween.
No fucking way.
Man, that's fucking awesome. Is that your lineage, sir?
For Halloween costumes, yes.
Nice.
So there was a Steelbook 25th anniversary complete series that went for $200. I'm still trying to find information on the Red Ranger head box set.
I actually saw that around.
It's probably sold out by now.
Probably.
It
is. It is. Yeah, there's no way in hell it isn't.
There's a bunch of nerds out there. So and you did the whole trick or treat thing too, Vic?
Oh yeah, no, of course. We trick or treated well into the night, and I'm coming very deep from the inner city of Chicago. So, in public schools, after a certain point, we had to stop wearing costumes. So, I had the same traumatization of like, 4th grade, 3rd grade, you can't do that no more. Grow up, kid.
Are you kidding me? I just learned how to walk, and you're telling me I can't be a kid anymore?
Right.
I just learned how to read. I just learned how to read last year.
What the?
Tell me I can't be a pony?
What were you saying?
Like, it's ridiculous how soon people will make kids feel like they can't do Halloween anymore, because it's like, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't dress up for the longest time. Zach, I probably talked to you about this more than the other guys because you're my roommates. So you get information before anybody else does.
I get the pre-scoop.
But yeah, last year was actually the first time since that Gandalf costume that I actually really dressed up, and I actually made a Cassidy from Preacher costume.
Right.
Bro, that's sure. I put like the whole blood all over my face. I bought a fake earring, which when Zach took my close-up picture, he actually cut out the fake earring, unfortunately.
Oh, come on.
But I also had the jean vest and the bloody shirt and.
Damn, dude, that's like based on the timeline you're telling me of that was you didn't dress up for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Because like it's also when I moved to New York, Halloween wasn't a huge thing. There either in the town that I was in.
New York State, not New York City.
Fuck is
we were in
going
small
on
town
in that
New York
place.
too. But I remember because at first it was my mom and I moved up there ahead of my brother and my dad because there was a situation that the two of them had to stay behind for a few months at first. So for those first few months it was just me and my mom. Then a couple of months later my brother joined us. Then after that my dad joined us. But anyway, so for that first Halloween in New York it was me and my mom. And so we bought all this candy because we were expecting all these trick-or-treaters and everything. And I think maybe the doorbell rang once. And legitimately, from like the time we moved there to the time I came out here for college, I think we've gotten a total of 2 doorbell rings throughout the entire time.
That's insane to me.
So Halloween, from that point on, kind of just became... okay, I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of candy for myself. And then I realized, November 1st, candy goes half off.
Oh, yes,
so, and then when I started working at Target and I actually had regular paychecks, it was like, all right, unsupervised Brandon with half off candy with a Target discount card.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It continues to
Diabetes.
And then the Halloween party on the ship, because I went onto my second ship. Like literally the Halloween party was my first week back on the ship. So I had no idea what was happening, so I had no time to prep a costume. I had no money at that point because it was at the end of my vacation and before I got my first check for the ship. So I was at the crew party, which was really the same as any other crew party, but people dress up, but I didn't have a costume at that point, unfortunately. So Mark, your house last year for the Cassidy costume was the first time since like 5th grade where I was able to dress up.
That was a damn good Halloween.
That was a good Halloween. I had a very fun time.
Yeah, everybody had a fucking blast, and it was just so nice.
So I think
nice.
I think that's a good transition for me to talk about my stuff because
I forgot about you.
Yeah, thanks.
Does anybody give a shit about this?
I thought we were done.
So I think that's a perfect transition because everybody's talking about my house, my Halloween parties. And the funny thing is that, I know that we have kind of a separate thing for adults, but the funny thing is that Halloween for me, like, it's so organic in its timeline, like, you know, of how it's shifted from kid to childhood. To say Halloween was important to me and is important to me is the most understatement that I could possibly make anywhere. Halloween has always been a part of my life. I cannot remember a time when Halloween wasn't important because movies were important. Since the day I watched Jurassic Park, and I knew then that I wanted to make movies. I can't tell you how pop culture has influenced my life and how it's been involved. So there's not a time. And the funny thing is, so when I was growing up, I lived in Lake in the Hills, which is the town over from where my childhood home is now. Halloween was very, very big. I did the whole gauntlet also growing up. I was Superman when I was like 1. I had the legitimate like the fucking Superman hair. Like my mom actually did my hair like fucking Superman with the comb.
Was it black or was it blonde?
No, it was blonde, but it was
fucking loser.
I know.
So you were Homelander before Homelander.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Well, comb over.
Then you had the legitimate part and everything else. So I did the Power Rangers. I did Cookie Monster because I fucking loved Cookie Monster growing up.
Oh, badass.
He was my favorite fucking Sesame Street guy.
He is. Yeah,
and I dug Sesame Street far more than I dug Barney. I think I was way more Sesame Street and Muppets, which led me into
I actually grew up watching good television.
And then I went into all the other Power Rangers and shit and all the great stuff we talked about in another podcast. But
Muppets and Sesame Street are gold. I don't care what anyone says.
I'm right there with you.
And Muppets, you have a little bit of an argument.
But anyway, so it was going to my aunt's. It was my aunt Cindy's house because we lived nearby, and we used to go with my cousins, to all the different places. And we used to go, over there, and we used to go do their gauntlet. They had a lot of different. Everybody had pretty decent Halloween decorations. I remember specifically this one lady. She was dressed up as a witch, and she actually made a fucking fake brain out of something, and she had maple syrup all over it, and she's she would pick it up and she'd be like, "These is brain, matter." And I was like,
"These is brain matter,"
something like that. She was, it was fun because it was gross. I was like 8. I was like, that freaked me the fuck out. But it was everything about Halloween for me has been fun. My parents went out of their way, my dad specifically, kind of being a single dad, and also my mom being a single mom, went out of their way to make sure that all me and my sisters had a fantastic Halloween every time. And also they weren't helicopter parents either. They weren't up our ass all the time. And we would hit every store. And also my cousins were the one that introduced me to the pillowcase phenomenon. Where you would fill the pillowcases with the candy. They didn't fuck around. I had that too, by the way. I had the skeleton guy. We had my cousins actually bought 3 separate ones. One of them was a witch. One of them was a skeleton,
and the other was a pumpkin.
No. They had a Frankenstein one. Frankenstein one. So we had that legitimate thing, and. And then also too, I had to deal with some of the bullshit, with families not participating in Halloween.
Funny enough, I never dealt with that. Empty houses.
I'm glad you didn't.
I didn't deal with the Catholic shit, empty houses. When I was a kid, I was fucking lucky.
I'm glad.
For neighborhoods where I grew up in, if there was an empty house, is because the person was on vacation or something. If there was anybody that was outright against Halloween, I never heard of it.
And that was the fun thing. And then also too, more importantly, and this is still going on to this day, there is a guy in Lake in the Hills that lives near my grandparents that I think I've taken you there. It's the house that's hardcore decked out. This is a guy who won the Lake in the Hills contest 3 years in a row and finally told the committee saying, "Hey guys, take me out of it because no one's gonna beat me." And I want somebody else to get an opportunity to win.
Whoa,
but the ego though, I gotta say it's back the fuck up. This dude had everything. He would have animatronics and lasers, so when you pass shit, he would actually jerry rig garage door opener things and program them so when you pass the line, animatronics would come out. And this dude he would be making this shit by himself as a hobby. And he also, one year, he built an electric chair in his fucking garage, and you can sit in it, and it vibrates and does the whole thing.
No wonder.
And he's been adding on to it, over the years, and it's crazy to think like, and this is a guy, who just does it for fun. And he also has like during Christmas time, he has a recreation of Jack Skellington riding the fucking Santa sleigh with his like skeletons, the custom Santa sleigh during Christmas time. It's really awesome. But, and going to this house was so much a part of it, and going to the different houses, and then, doing some things with my mom. So I almost had like 2 separate Halloweens when they got divorced, one in Huntley and one in there in Algonquin. But the things got really, really good. Like, it was kind of like all over the place, but when we finally moved to Algonquin, like that's when things became what they are to this day, and what that you've all known. With the unfortunately, with the exception of Victor, which by the way, Victor, you're more than welcome to come to Papa Conway's house for Halloween, because that's our thing.
Hell yeah.
So my family fights over all the other holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving and everything else, but no one can touch my dad on Halloween. Halloween is my dad's fucking holiday. Like, he runs the gamut. Everyone comes over to his house. I think it's half of people don't want to deal with it, the other family members, but also the same thing is nobody can touch my dad when it comes to Halloween, because how he does it is so different than a lot of other people do it. And it's been that way since like 2002. And we've been building it up as years have gone on and I've become older. And the funny thing is, it was kind of like, when I was still trick-or-treating, it was kind of home base. Like, so I can literally go to the different neighborhoods and everything else, but always come back and hang out. And then, like, for my friends, there would be pizza there. And my dad started a tradition. Literally what he does is he gives beer and wine to the adults and candy to the kids. And Sarah's going to start a new tradition. What are you going to do, Sarah, this year?
I'm gonna give treats to all the dogs that come by.
Oh, which actually,
that's great.
The crazy part is that
what about the cats?
Aren't they cute?
They but the crazy part is actually it's a good fucking idea, because they had a bunch of dogs show up and they had
in costume.
We had nothing to give them. We had nothing
the
to
Great
give them.
Dane that came by.
No.
There was a Great Dane that came by, and all he had was a little glow stick around his neck.
They should have given him he should have had the Scooby-Doo collar.
Yeah, that would
have been really
awesome.
Cute.
So, and the funny thing is, my dad orders pizza, and we have a little thing in the garage, and we'll have a big party, and it's become like this big thing that I've, invited my friends over the years, and I've had all these, great, I've been a Jedi, which I love, and it's like, here I got really fucking wasted. One of our friends brought over apple pie moonshine. And I took that and I put Angry Orchard with just a dash of fucking Fireball. I was the drunkenest Jedi in the galaxy.
Fireball.
I like the fat Jedi from that one video, just like
fans.
I was like,
Should you be calling that drink the Jedi mind trick then?
Yeah, I am now.
You're making that for me this year, and we're getting wasted. I'm already taking that Monday off. I don't give a fuck.
You want some death sticks? You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to send you death sticks.
You should go home and rethink.
No. You want to go home and rethink your life. I want to go home and rethink my life.
Get
the lines right, goddammit.
I do. Oh my god, it was so fun. I was like, I'm so strong with the Force. So fun, dude. And then and like in all these other
great.
like great costumes. The one thing I was gonna bring up though too is Vinny and I had actually a lot of good experiences too, and I wanted to catch it because it's so organic. Like a lot of these things, like a lot of the Halloween parties we went to too, we would go to Chris Fry's house and we did that, and I actually got a little bit of redemption from a costume that I had when I was really young. I loved Indiana Jones growing up, like, and I still do. And I watched the movie, but the problem is, like, the movie wasn't really, like, in popular vogue at the time, so there was no costumes. So I made shift this fucking costume. It was so bad. Nobody knew who the fuck I was. I literally had, like, this, it wasn't even a bomber jacket, it was, like, this gray jacket. It wasn't even brown or leather. It was like this ridiculous, and I had like the gun and the whip and everything else, and then the hat. But the problem is, it was really cold that year, so I had to put on another coat over it.
Oh, I hate that.
I was like 10.
Oh my god!
You don't know who the fuck I was. I was Terminator one year with the legit leather pants and leather jacket, except the leather jacket was like 60 pounds, and I was like 60 pounds. So it was a bitch to try to walk around with it. But I had the big pump shotgun and the sunglasses. That was a lot easier to put together. But when I went to college, I think Crystal Skull had just come out, and I was finally able to get a legit Indiana Jones costume, which I think I still have. and it was a little bit of redemption for me to have that not shitty costume. Did Zorro one year too when Mask of Zorro came out.
I did that as a kid. Oh, I loved that outfit.
The Mask of Zorro came out in '97.
Yeah.
So I did that too.
Yeah, I did the same too.
We had a phenomenal Halloween shop called Fantasy Festival, which was a local place, and it was in it was in Algonquin. It was originally in Crystal Lake, but then it was in Algonquin. It was a really cool, everyone would go get their costumes there. And this was before the days of the pop-up, Spirit Halloween.
It's called Fantasy or something?
The Fantasy Festival.
I think I've seen that before.
We got fantasy costumes over by Six Corners.
Oh,
yeah, I mean
that's
everybody.
what it
Yeah,
is.
I mean everybody
that's
remembers
that
fantasy
one.
costumes.
Yeah.
That place is fucking
Oh,
amazing.
the places
We had a party place too, in Geneva that had that was the big place to go to locally
You can
for
get
Halloween
everything.
costumes.
Dude, that was my favorite thing, man. I
It's
was
just Party City for me.
yeah. The
I've been to Party City a few times.
we go to Spirit.
Until Spirit didn't come around so much later.
That's
Maybe
true.
until I was I don't know,
I don't think I've ever
12
been into
or
a Spirit
something.
It's cool.
It's cool.
Spirit
yeah.
Halloween,
Depends
yeah.
which one you go to.
Those
Sometimes their
pop-up
selections suck,
ones
but-
became really popular a little later. And then there was one called Halloween World or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
I think I actually remember seeing a
Yeah,
that
I think
around,
they were
but I've
trying to
never been
compete
to
with
one.
Spirit one year, and then the next year I didn't see them.
Maybe
See
they
them
fizzled
again.
out.
So
You know what the
yeah.
funny part is that part we didn't even talk about, and I'm talking about it briefly, is that was part of the fun. Going to the Halloween stores.
Yeah.
Getting your shit,
getting
yeah.
the shit is still fun. It's still
Yeah.
it's still fun walking. I mean the costume that we did last year with the steampunk.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that
fun.
until I saw it in
It's fun.
Spirit
It's just,
Halloween.
Yeah.
It's there's more of a satisfaction you get when you make your costume.
Yeah.
When you order
Totally.
individual pieces from different places to come up with a costume that's not already prepackaged for you. It's when the new shows come out, when Stranger Things came out, for example, I don't think there was a costume for 11 in stores, but people were hand making their own and putting it together because it was easy. It was just a little dress, and then the blonde wig and the blood coming from your nose, that was pretty easy. But then the following year, then they had one made. They had one manufactured. All you had to do was go to Spirit, take your little baggie, and leave. It's fun. We had fun buying our stuff last year. It was $200, but it was still fun, and it's great to put it on and feel dressed up. But I think there's a bigger sense of excitement and when you actually make your costume.
Oh yeah, there's something to be said about that.
You feel creative and clever, and people whoa, you put that together? Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
I think
clever. Yeah.
I've seen some shit. And then I think we'll talk about that in another podcast. But that whole thing is really really special. Throughout the years, it's kind of gone from this thing, but really started with my dad starting that Halloween party and having the separate party inside the garage for everybody else and all the guests and everything else. And it's kind of cool. I started that as a teenager and riding bikes, and then I got to be in charge of the candy, and then I would dress up in scary costumes. I remember one year I missed out on scaring some older kids, and I had the Scream mask on, and I was pretending to be still, and there was this little kid who walked up. And I didn't see him in my peripherals, so I was gonna scare the next kid. And my dad he's he whispered in my ear really quick. He's like, "Mark, don't do it." And then I saw this kid turn the corner. He was fucking 2 in a cowboy costume. I would have traumatized this fucking kid he would have shit his pants right there.
Did you?
I did not. No. I walked up and I took off the mask. I was Ghostface.
Oh really?
Yeah, shut up. But that's the coolest part with me is that there's it's the transition from going from a kid to a teenager to adulthood with this has always been very very organic because that's the place you go. And that's actually becoming the place that all my friends go and Love My Life goes. It's my dad's house for Halloween. My dad's man, people in the neighborhood could be pissed when I move. And then and also in addition, the last thing I'll say is we don't cheap on the candy. And my dad gets huge massive bags, a nice little plethora, but we decorate the fuck out of the house. And the cool part is, over the years since I was a teenager, the rest of the front of the house is all everybody else's shit. Like, they can put up the cute stuff and the blow-ups and the old Frankenstein, Dracula, and pumpkins from the early 90s that my dad still has. But there's a section right over on the left side of the garage, and that's mine. And that's where I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. And that's the place where I put in all the rated R things that Zach likes to say. That's where all my severed heads are at, and that's where all my strobe lights are at. And that still is my favorite part of getting into the Halloween season, is setting up all that shit. Because the funny thing is, to me, it's not Halloween until I can set that up. And then, and just like you have satisfaction with doing your costume, like, that's where I get my satisfaction, with literally like stepping back and then looking at it, because it takes about 2 or 3 hours worth of work. So so it's about 2 or 3 hours worth of work. So, and when you step back and you actually can take a look at everything you did, it's pretty fucking cool. Like, but yeah, Halloween for me, always growing up, has been a very, very, very important thing. And there isn't a point in my childhood when Halloween wasn't important. I don't remember. There's some Christmases that I've left to the past. There's some birthdays that I've left to the past, and there's some like 4th of July's and other things that I don't remember. I remember almost every Halloween, because that's how important Halloween was always to me, and always still will be. And actually, now starting this company, now it's even more fucking important than it ever was. So it's been really cool, and I can't wait to talk about it in the future when I get kids and I get to send them out and let them go trick or treat, and I will never ever drive them from house to house. They will fucking walk. They will do their thing. And it's been a fun ride. It's been really cool. So Zach, final thoughts?
Squirrels.
what he always fucking says. Vinny.
Celebrate fucking Halloween. Don't be a fucking loser and bitch out of it. I'm sorry. I have no patience for that.
All right, fair enough.
I don't.
I think everybody who's watching this podcast will agree with you. Sarah?
I could agree. I second that. Celebrate Halloween. Even if your teachers make you dress up in orange and black, go home, put on your costume, have fun, be a kid for as long as you can.
Because when it's over, it's over. Brandon and Victor.
Victor?
Costumes are fun. So is face paint.
Yes, Halloween is fun. Also, so we don't leave on a cliffhanger, it is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Legacy Collection Complete Seasons 1 through 20 box set with 98 DVDs and an art book that comes in a Red Ranger head. And at the time of this recording, there is one seller on Amazon selling it for $1,499.99 plus $13.79 shipping, or a straight up $2,500 for $3.99.
Look how you sound like
98 DVDs.
98 DVDs.
Dude, it sounded like a fucking infomercial. Well, thanks, Brandon. Now I have an erection. I don't know what I have to do with that.
How big is the Power Ranger hat?
That is for another podcast, Vinny.
So,
where can they find us, Mark?
I'm going to say this too, and I'm going to agree with everybody. Celebrate Halloween. It's a really, really fun fucking holiday. It doesn't matter if you're a kid or you're an adult. Halloween is a blast. It's an opportunity for actually even adults and kids to be like kids. Be imaginative, have fun. And that's what it's all about. It's all about, it's as corny as it sounds, it's about magic. It's about magic and imagination.
It is.
Enjoy it.
Just like Disney World.
Don't you dare compare Halloween to Disney, woman.
Alright, so this is an opportunity. I am going to toss it over to Sarah to give her plug for where they can find all your amazing stuff, which is all around this room. And then also, some other amazing stuff as well.
Yeah, like my Etsy page is Freaky Tiki Artwork, or just Freaky Tiki Art. And you could go, I have a Society 6 page. I forgot the name on my Society 6 page. I haven't used it in a while. But then my website, Turkowski.com.
And then
links will be in the description.
Yep. And they absolutely. So and then of course you can find us on all of our social medias on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and
Slasher.
And, of course, if you are checking us out on YouTube, if you could be so awesome to stab that like button, smash that subscribe, and click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content right here on MHN. Hey, if you've already smashed the subscribe button, go ahead and smash the share button. That'd be awesome, too. Thank you so much for checking out the Nightmares podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys. Happy Halloween.